There we go. That should be visible to most. Welcome to the BATC Thursday Evening Net. And that's me. Okay, I have M0DTS to start. You're on first, Rob, followed by Mike, G0MJW, Martin, G4FKK, John, G7JTT, Richard, GI4DOH, Gareth, G4XAT, Nick, G4NKV, and Colin, G4KLB. If there's anybody else, please pipe up on the chat, and I'll put you on the end. The main thing to think about this week is if you participated in the contest, please send in your log to Clive on contests with an S at batc.tv. Please send in your log. We've been discussing what to do about further contests, and we're planning to have a contest in September on the 11th and 12th of September. So that isn't what was the activity weekend, you'll be glad to hear, Colin. And there'll be a low band contest, probably 23 sems and down, on the 11th and 12th of September, and that coincides with a Dutch TV contest as well. The activity day that was previously on the 5th of September will cancel. The other thing that's going on is we've opened some discussion about what to do about the IARU contest for next year. Some of us found we didn't have time to get round to everybody because we're too busy trying to get points on the microwave bands, so possibly splitting it into two. Have a look at the forum, there's a thread about it, so please contribute to that. Good evening to all the watchers. I know we've got Jim, Tim and David G6GZH out there and many others. The stream of course is available if you can't see somebody, and we've got 32 viewers at the moment, so that's quite reasonable. Okay, I'll talk about my contest activity and what I've been up to next over, but let's put it round to Rob. M0DTS to take it from GHEKQ and the BATC Net.
I like the term "contastic," Dave. That's pretty good. I imagine yours was. not that mine was particularly bad, but I imagine you did a little bit better. Jumping for joy. Yeah, well, that's one of the pictures I took when I was out Portable. That was it. Funnily enough, India Oscar 94 Lima, India, which is the kind of reciprocal of my home location, which is India, Lima. That can get a bit tricky when you're trying to talk back to people, but yeah, the mast was a bit of a struggle to put up with just me, but because it was blowing quite a wind up there. It's probably about 25 odd mile an hour wind, which, yeah, it was tricky anyway. Camera, there we go. Yeah, yeah, contest was good. Really enjoyed it as usual. I don't think I did quite as well as last year, but we probably had more stations active, I think, up here, but I didn't work quite as much on the microwave bands as I would normally have done. But still, it was good. I only missed one station, so that I could have communicated with, I think, on the contest, so that was pretty good. there was lots and lots of people on 750 I could hear up and down out of the noise. Of course, Dave came out of the noise, and we managed a nice QSO, well, a one-way QSO on there anyway, on 77, so that was good. The QR code worked, super. That's good. The only problem I had portable was my 10 gig transmitter had gone faulty, which I haven't looked at yet. Come back around to that at some point. I don't normally use my transverter because I need to drive a 2-meter PA, then my transverter for 10 gigs, so I need to organise that a little bit better. Not a lot else to add really, I don't think. Yeah, I need to do my log. I'll get that done this evening. Good by me. Does mean I'll probably be out portable on my birthday, but try not to be too quick on the handover there. But yeah, nothing else to say at the moment on this over. So round 2 G0MJW, M0DTS. Nearly said portable there. Round to you, Mike.
Right, looks like it's working. Thanks, Rob. I was missing bits of your over there, and I wondered what was happening, and then I realised there's a station, a DH station on 500 kilosymbols below us, and he's transmitting some strange signal, which is bouncing up and down all over the place. And I think it was being received by Winter Hill, and I think it was confusing VLC to the extent that it was crashing it. And it was starting to impact on my transmit side as well, so hopefully it's still working now. But yeah, that's interesting. So an invalid signal on one VLC running version can knock out another one that's working fine, which is a bit concerning, but never mind. Right, just to, oops, I better be looking at the chat, sorry. QR code worked, oh, excellent, very good, Charles. So just a few things to show really, bits that have arrived or been built. Thank you Colin G4EML for the STL file, which I've used to produce a adapter for the Bullseye LNB for the antenna feed. I produced that offset circular thing, which you can see next to it, so raise it a bit further up when you try and clamp it to the dish. Of course, it's very important you don't use the original clamping point for the LNB because it won't work. There's an amplifier has arrived from AliExpress. They didn't have all of the capacitors, so they replaced the capacitors. They substituted the capacitors for 0 ohm links, which, as you might expect, did not help matters at all. It actually shorted out the power supply, so it didn't work, which is just as well, because not only had the decoupling capacitors been replaced by shorts, but so had the coupling. And I'm thinking about what to do about talking to the seller, because it's a bit daft what they did really. And a whole load of mod amps turned up, 20 very cheap Galley 5s, which I will test to see if they work. And the only other thing of any interest there is that relay. I don't know if you can see it. It turned up today. It was 15 quid. I thought, okay, RF relay, 15 quid. Looks like it might be WG24 or something. Anyway, it's WG25 as it turns out, and that means that it'll work on 47 and 76 gigahertz. So there's no real use for it. So I can see why it was so cheap. But coax relays for those bands aren't that easy to come by. So I guess you need a waveguide relay. Yeah, so that's it really. Who do I pass it to? I think it's Martin, isn't it? So round to you, Martin. G4FKK, G0MJW. Yeah, so that's it really. Who do I pass it to? I think it's Martin, isn't it? So,
Hello.
Martin.
Well, this is going to be very confusing, isn't it?
G0MJW.
Let's cut the audio on that. Right.
Well, this is going to be very confusing, isn't it?
That bouncing signal didn't just knock Rob out. It knocked you out as well, Mike. It seemed to be knocking out my. You went down to just under D0, so I think I'm also suffering from a torrential downpour we've just had, and it's very overcast here, so my signal seems to be coming through at the moment. Anyway, I'll pump up the volume if I need to. Anyway, good evening to everybody, and well done on all the contesters. I had 2 contacts, both with Gareth, who's practically next door in RF terms. So I will put the entry in if you think it's worth it, and fine on the low bands. I've only got low bands here. I've got 4, 6 and 2 that I can do easily, and 70 sems if I ever get my duplexer working on top of the mast. Yes, okay, Dave, I'll I'll put that in. The good thing about doing that, I suppose, it puts everyone else one up, doesn't it? So that's got to be good. Ding, ding, ding. There was something. Oh yes, on the forum, Dave. You were mentioning the IARU contest and having a low bands, but I didn't see anything including 2 or 4 meters. But that may have just been the way I read it. And yeah, Jim, if you're watching, still the the heatsink's still hidden under the bench here, wrapped up, because that needs to be unwrapped in a slightly more hidden manner. The other thing you might be interested in, Jim, I was on a Zoom call Monday with my local club, and I was mentioning big heat sinks. And one of the chaps says, "Oh, I've got a big heat sink here, but it's actually a microwave module's 100-watt amplifier." And I thought, well, they're not very big heat sinks, but this is a really old 100-watt amplifier, which has got a massive heat sink. I mean, it is just a massive heat sink. There you go. And it doesn't work. So I said, well, I'll have that then, and then I'll rip the innards out and put one of my homemade 70 sems amplifiers in there, which should that should be big enough, that heatsink, I think. But it doesn't look that broken to me. It doesn't work, but I think I might be able to mend it, and I'm in 2 minds now. I'm not very good at ripping stuff out that could possibly work again as the designer intended, so I don't know. Anyway, I'll have a play with it. Oh yeah, Mike, I was going to say on the forum, if I don't know if you or someone else with a 3D printer, Gareth, that would be really good. That offset adapter you've invented there. Mine is definitely slightly off because exactly as you described, the reflector of the patch feed impinging on stuff. And I haven't got the big hammer out yet, despite your advice to the contrary, Mike. Right, okay, well, I'll stop droning on. It's round to you, John. Yeah, I had a revolting T-shirt on earlier, John, but I've put this shirt on now. It's a good job you can't see what the shorts I'm wearing. So I'm going to put it round to you with your new T-shirt on, G7JTT, and the BATC Net G4 Fox Kilo standing by.
go back to the proper. I don't know why it's done that. It's been working fine all evening. Anyway, no, it's proper locked up. Right, Rob. Between money about, but something like that. I won a DAB radio, but it's a well, probably is it's just a. And apologies, I ain't got no cigarette lighter sockets up here, so that do. So basically, it's a little device like that, and what it does, it's a radio in it, and it rebroadcasts it on the FM band to your car stereo. So in your car. I won it for £3. Cost them more. So it was yeah, quite a nice thing, and it's got Bluetooth hands-free kit in there as well, a 3 amp, well, allegedly a 3 amp USB charger. But I've actually got it up here because I've been listening to Boom Radio, and there are other radio stations out there, on my FT897. So just one of those silly things that you get occasionally. Other than that, the only thing I've done really is a very sort of tacky type thing, but my things that I showed you last week, the attenuator and stuff, what I've done, I've put the attenuators and the devices along with into a box now, so they're all nice and well held together, and it keeps it in one place because like most people, I guess, use it, you put it away, and unless it's got somewhere, it tends to sit on the side and then you forget where you left it. So just fell over. I probably won't come round for a second time because I've still got to get up early tomorrow, but I will be watching, and I'll be the same, I guess, because certainly for some time now I'm not going to be up on. Quite sad. at least with Tim recording it, I'll be able to watch it when I go. Round to Richard. JTT in the group.
G7JTT with the group GI4DOH. I'm just watching. Yeah, the lip sync isn't quite right. I did try adjusting it earlier. It did change from last week. Commiserations, John, on the thing with work there. I don't have to do a lot of work these days. I've just done a bit of proofreading for Queen's University, which took up the last 3 days. When they want it now. But it's not too difficult, just taking out excess commas and things like that. It's my excuse for spending money on radio equipment. I didn't get to even listen in on the contest at the weekend between one thing and another, but it's very impressive, Rob, the setup with the little mast there. That's one of the things I'm still looking at myself with a view to getting out portable. I do have a drive-on mount, although the site that I have in mind is slightly angled. So the question is whether I can adjust whatever pole I put into the drive-on mount to be vertical, or somehow arrange for the drive-on mount to be vertical when I've driven onto it. So I haven't quite worked that one out yet. Could hack up a piece of wood to give me a level surface and then just get a wheel up on it. And it's certainly one of the things for me to be doing. And Martin, what you said about the microwave modules, heat sinks, I came across this when I was going through my range of amplifiers and homebrew transverters and the rest. I was thinking, for 20 watts, that is one almighty heatsink. But on the other hand, I do think I need that if I want to operate on 70 centimeters, so I can't scrap it just for the heatsink. What else? I've built a knucker. Surprisingly, looks quite like my original mini tuner. It works. It did mean that I have to requisition a Raspberry Pi 4 with a 7-inch screen to give me a Portstown 4. Then the issue, of course, I wanted to transmit at the same time. So I thought, well, I've just done a wee bit of work. I can afford to get another Raspberry Pi 4. So got a second Portstown 4 there. And working quite happily with the Pluto and the Lime Mini. So that kept me busy for a while. The only other thing here is my main PC wouldn't start up this morning. No reassuring beep from the power on self-test at this moment in time. The power supply is okay. I tried another power supply. I don't have a spare motherboard. I don't have a and scratching my head on that one. I've ordered a second-hand, relatively cheap motherboard to see if that does it. But getting another processor, it's a Ryzen 7. Don't know that I want to throw good money after bad, but it's there's so much to choose from in trying to get another PC, even to go for a bare bones one and all the rest. You've got to check the specifications and compatibility. The other one was 4 years old, so it's borderline whether I should spend the time and effort and money want fixing it, or whether I should just bite the bullet and go for a new one with a bit more poke and all the rest. But there is the old issue of trying to work out what the balance, what the trade-off is for getting the best bang per buck. It takes an awful lot of time. So a bit of reading up to do on that over the next couple of days. So not a lot else from me at this end. I'll pass it on to Gareth, G4XAT with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Well, I can hear my fans. Good. That bit's working. Right. Remember to switch to something a bit more interesting this time. There we are. Evening, everybody. Thank you, Richard. GI4DOH. This is G4XAT joining the net. Okay. All sorts of things here. I've got some questions for the assembled masses, first of all, please. I've got these latching relays, Teledyne things, and I've looked up their spec, and you give them a pulse, or either you give them 12 volts on one pair, and it switches over, and then the current goes down to nothing, and it stays put whether the current is, well, there's no voltage there, or sorry, the voltage is there, but there is no current draw, and it'll stay there until you connect the other pin to positive, and then it switches over. Any reason why I can't leave the voltage on it? That's question one. Another question, can a splitter stroke combiner work with different power levels on its ports? I'm looking at joining transmitters together there. Okay, and what do people think these are? I believe that they are, the first two are circulators, since they're made by Harris ferrites, and the little blue one on the end, I'm not sure what that is, but it's sequential bands. One covers 9 sems, one covers 6, and the other covers 3 sems. So if they are what I think they are, they'd be quite good for protecting my PAs. Okay. Another question for the assembled. These things turned up in a box of junk, and they look a bit like BNC connectors. I mean, they look very expensive. I've got a whole bag full of them. I have no idea what to use them for. Okay. I would say the contest was exhausting but great. I got my first two-way on 6 centimeters and had to turn the power down, so that worked very well. And if this works, not that one, hang on, that one, transition to that. That was my receive setup. As a DDS and then a pipe cap and then an amp via an attenuator into a mixer. The other end goes through a band pass into an amp into the mixer, and then from the mixer it goes through a pipe cap into a probe in the LNB, and then off it went to the mini tuner, and it worked like a dream. Really good. Right, what else? 3 centimeter RX worked with a bullseye on a B-Sky B mini dish. I didn't get a decode off Noel, but I saw him about 10 dB over the noise. The TX strip I was using, this is a 5th harmonic out of the Pluto job. They're 3 lone amps, thanks very much Noel, in sequence, and it gives 10 milliwatts out. I had to add the heatsink, which came from stock, and the questions I was asking about probes, That's my end result, and unfortunately when I did transmit I had it horizontally, not vertically, pointing at the dish, so my polarization was wrong and Noel couldn't see me. Far too many bands, far too busy, I think, splitting it up. Yeah, it's a lens, I'm assured. I bought it from Bob Platts about 20 years ago at one of the rallies. But it's a waveguide 16 to feed a dish, is what he originally sold it as. Okay, I'm waffling on, but still good stuff. Right, well that'll do for this over, I think. Though I would just say, I know Mike loves the colours I print stuff in. That's one of those bullseye pipe caps, and that's an interdigital filter for 23, and that worked really well. I just stuck one of those after it, which is one of those little eBay £5 DC to daylight amplifiers, and it brought the signals right up, because it was after the filter it was nice and clean. As an emergency 70 sems preamp, I used my little brick amp backwards, and it worked. It's got a bit of filtering on the output, so it sort of kept it clean, and I got copy on that band as well. Okay, that's probably enough this over, isn't it? Let somebody else have a go. So round to G4NKV. I don't think I've got anything wrong this time. I'll just transition to my test card, and when I see that pop up I'll drop carrier.
It helps if I turn the microphone on, doesn't it? Let's hope we've got audio there now. Have we? Right, we all seem to be, I seem to be on now, don't I? So that's it. Some interesting stuff there. I like that little DAB radio that John's got. I mean, we haven't got one in our car. It's just the old-fashioned FM one. We have lost our favourite station round here, which is Yorkshire Coast Radio. It's gone. Unfortunately, they were taken over by that Greatest Hits Radio, and we're not so keen on them. So I think I'm going to get one of those. So they've come back on DAB, all operating from home, the operators there. I was out for a contest on Sunday, not TV I'm afraid, it was a practical wireless 2-metre contest. I did manage to get all the stuff in the car, and we went out Ravenscar way, and didn't do too well I don't think, but I did get a contact with Rob there, and I was just tuning around just before we're about to pack up for the day. Thanks for the point, Rob, it'll help. Hopefully it'll be better than my score a few years ago there. Something else I've been after for quite a while is to get a replacement Lime Mini, and I've just looked on Mauser website when we came home today, and they had 330 odd in stock. Just look now, it's 220 odd, so I think I'm going to get one ordered. I could do with a spare. I've never used Mauser. I'm assuming they're a bit like DigiKey. If I place an order with them, does anyone know, does it come from USA? And if so, what sort of carrier do they use? So I say I've used DigiKey. I've had excellent results from them. Get the stuff, you know, from placing it ordered within 24 hours, and that's when it's had to fly here. So I've no problems with them. But as I say, never used Mauser. So I just wonder if they're as good as DigiKey. Does anybody know where I can get model the radiation pattern from a satellite dish? I'm trying to find something that will model the radiation pattern. Mauser, just like DigiKey, they tend to be a bit slower. Well, I'm not bothered if they're slower. As Mauser comes from USS Map. Fair enough, that's great. I'm going to get one ordered because I think by the time this net's finished, there'll probably be none left in stock. Yeah, satellite dish modelling. I'm trying to model the radiation pattern from my satellite dish. I've done the EMF calculation, and I've got a safety distance of 11 metres when I'm using 50 watts on 13 SEMS. I'm not worried in the main lobe direction because our garden's 30 metres long here, and there's no other properties for about a mile in that direction. Although the back side of the dish does go towards the neighbours. So I would like to try and just find out, you know, what typically the signal out the back of the dish might be in the lobes, etc. So if anyone knows of any modelling for a satellite dish, be interested to know, online or a downloadable version would be useful. Right, I've used the RSGB calculator to get to work out what I need for the 2 meters, what power I would need for 2 meters for DATV, and luckily it came out at just 6.5 watts to get me my 50 watts at ERP. I've actually got round to renewing my knob, and the amplifier is here. This is the amplifier I'll be using. It's a Mitsubishi brick, and can get that in there. There's the side of it. It's a 60 watt brick, and this amplifier I found out I can get up to about 11 watts of clean DATV before we get the dreaded skirts and spectral regrowth, etc. So my 6.5 watts is very clean indeed on it. So there's the amplifier I'll be using for 2 meters. And I've got a similar one, but I've not tested it on DATV yet for 70 SEMS I've built. I think that's a 30 watt amplifier. So that's something I've got to get sorted out. Latching relays, Gareth. Yes, I've got one of them. I've never left the power on it permanently, so I don't know if it would cause any problems at all. My views, it probably wouldn't. But they are good relays. I've also got some of the non-latching ones. I did manage to find a few, and they're used in the 13 SEMS amp I've got outside now. I was testing yesterday, and around this temperature it tripped out. It's in a box outside, and I think the cabinet temperature went above 40. I've noticed now the heat sinks are up to 41.1. I need a better fan on that heat sink on the big amplifier. The fan I used was out of a computer power supply. I don't think it pushes enough air, so it's easy enough to swap out, and I probably will get round to swapping it out at some time there. I don't think there's much else just at the moment, so let's go. It's over to G4K.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent. Wait for that to come in, hopefully. I was a little bit concerned because I didn't have a chance to do any testing before coming on. I haven't done anything much to the system yet. I think it is going out okay, but I can't. Hello, what's going on there? I can't see me. Can't see my own picture for some reason or another. Let's just bring this up. It's oh, there we are. So it jumped to something else, I think. There we go. That's fine. I can see it's okay now. There we go. We got the test card. Right. Kill the audio. I need more. I need more desktop space, I think, to manage OBS on here. Anyway, good evening, everyone. We had a good time out with the contest. I went. I've got an old picture. I can do that. There's there we are. I've got an old picture. That's up at Lulworth. Actually, it's not that old. That's only a few weeks ago. Actually, it's a few weeks ago out with the van. So we went there again this time. That seems to be backwards. There's a mirror image, that picture. I don't know. I don't know why. And then we also went up on the Sunday up to Wyn Green, which is a place I haven't actually ever operated from before. I wasn't aware of that car park. The National Trust area, and I assume it's the National Trust car park. So that's all worked very well. I did have an issue. I had lots of issues really. On the shakedown test, everything worked perfectly, more or less. On the actual contest, I made a bit of a pig's ear of almost every contact. Not everyone, but almost, unfortunately. I'm sort of leaning over to keep in the shot a little bit. So anyway, got the van out there, but I still had trouble with the mast. It was fine on the Sunday because there was no wind, but I've observed, I fixed the original leak by changing the valve at the bottom of the mast. But when the mast rocks, the air comes out. So when you've got a bit of a light breeze there, and it's flapping about, it lets the air out. So that's going to be a bit of an issue, but it'll have to be fixed somehow or another. But it might involve major surgery. But anyway, we'll see about that one. Let's there we are. That's better. Let's get more upright now. Very good. What have we been doing? Well, after the amount of plug swapping during the contest, with the inevitable errors, I did make a couple of mistakes, and the red one went on the black one, and such things like that. And we had a few issues, but nonetheless, most things survived. I've decided that we should have some form of sequencer, and obviously change transmit and receive. Oh crikey! What on earth is that? Sounds like I'm hoping that's a firework. Otherwise, people are shooting. I'm not sure what that was. That was a bit of a loud one. I don't know if you heard that. It's a big explosion. Yeah, bicycle pump. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and also on the shakedown test, the I don't know what that was.
Was that like an explosion?
I don't know. It was like an explosion. Yeah, I don't know what it was. I don't think that was lightning. Somehow, it looks like the storm might miss us in the main. It's meant to have been heavy rain tomorrow, but I think it's going to be okay. So we're going to put up the old shed that should have come today but hasn't. Hello, JTT's got the lightning thing up. I see on another channel. You've got the oh no, it's not. I thought it was lightning. It's actually some other some other thing. Dear oh dear. Right. Okay. Anyway, so we're looking at that. I'm gathering parts to get the sequencer project together. I say we have to use on the ports down the TX output. Just see what if John's saying anything on there. Let's turn him up. No, it's just a low frequency. Gonna have a little QSO on the side here, I think. Oh, he's gone now. I'll turn that volume down in case someone else comes up on it. I've got a Winter Hill running. I'm using the Winter Hill at the moment. Is it blitzsong.org? Okay. I thought. Oh, okay, it was. I thought it was some 6 meter propagation thing or something. Anyway, yeah. So that's what we'll be looking at. I'm trying to get some relays from various places, but everything should be automated, and it should also be able to do cross-band, different receive and transmit bands and that sort of thing. So more on that when we get further down the line. So I've got all sorts of bits and pieces turned up for that project. I've had a bit of a paperwork session. I've actually done. I see there's a new Ofcom calculator this very day, and I've done SQ GB3 SQs, one on the Ofcom one, and that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. Separation distance 1.1 meters. Shove it up the mast a few more meters, and you're done. So there's absolutely no issues at all for the repeater. The home station is is an entirely different kettle of fish. But there we are. Right, oh, it could be an unexploded. Yeah, more likely a firework. Yeah, I think it was probably a firework. I don't know what's going on. Contest on the 11th and 12th of September is perfect for me. And birthday time for several other people. But I am actually off that weekend. A lot of weekends are suitable, but up until recently, every single weekend has been when I'm working. On the last one, I'm supposed to have been working, but I managed to get someone to cover for me at great expense, I might add. I don't think it was particularly cost effective, but still. So there we are. And I've also built one of these things. There we are. Printed one of these out, and this has got just a little. I haven't got the offset thingamajig. I haven't got as far as doing that, but I've just got the one that comes with a rocket. Comes with a rocket LMB. So this could be a bit shorter, possibly, but I'm saving shortening it until it actually gets mounted, just in case. Just in case, you know, a little extra length. It doesn't really matter how long it is, really, but. Anyway, there we are. We've done another bullseye experiment, because this will probably be my portable setup. So we've got the lens off a rocket LMB on there. Interesting about the setup of this, because the bit inside slides up and down. I may have to use a different satellite or something. Something that I can work on and not get in the way, and have a little fiddle with the tuning of this lens, because it's going to be quite difficult to sort that out, but it has to be done, because I think it makes significant difference. That'll do, I think, from me. So I'll have to. Usually we get the list. The list normally gets copied. There we are. Over to Michelle, HB9 DUG, to take it. This station is I'm trying to do this in some sort of way. G4KLB.
Un, deux, trois, check. Well, good evening, everybody. Very pleased to see you again this week. We have very bad weather here in my place. We are close to the Jura Mountains, and we have just no big storm and lightning. So if I dissipate, it's certainly not because of the installation, but because of power. So last 10 days have been dedicated to prepare the contest with my friends HB9AZN, Alpha Zulu November. We team up very often together to go for the contest and activity day of the what we call the GIA Hyper. So we went to the top of the Jura at 1600 meter high, called Chasseron. So I have just 1, 2, 3 pictures I would like to show you. So we found the bandwidth so nice and useful to replace our big spectrum and so on. So I made a quick box just with Raspberry 4, the screen, a Lime, and power converter in a stocking box in plastic. And we have retrofit all our installation with splitter, so we could quickly connect in parallel to the reception also the bandwidth. So that's the place where we went. So it's called the Chasseron on the Jura Mountains, which are going from Geneva to Basel. And it's a place where we have an authorization to go. You can see behind some tower from the man in green from Switzerland, but we have the authorization to go over there. So 1600 meters, we go there because we see France. We see France a long way around. So on the pictures you see under the blue umbrella, this is the 10 gig installation with using DVB S2 ports down and QNA transverters, so about 10 watt of power going out on a 19 centimeter dish. The next big dish, it's 1 meter 50 centimeter, is used for 23 centimeters and 13 centimeter. On top of it is the 2 meter antenna, and behind the long big antenna is for the 70 centimeter station. Oops. So you see a little bit more the installation here. So just on the is fire for 13 and post down the car amplifier, but we are using it at so it was really a nice time. We did a very nice QSO between our place to Le Havre, so more G Rolf on both way, and we did the second one about the same distance, about around the same region. We did also some other nice QSO on and unfortunately they could receive us, but they didn't have the station. A shame, because we went time to move back to mini tuner on the mini tuner is so the next after me it was G4 Hotel G.
Okay, everyone, good evening. Thank you for that, Michelle. It's nice to be out here again. You know, I struggle with the heat, so the shed here gets very, very hot, and the last few weeks has really been fairly unbearable, and I've been watching from inside, so that explains why I've not come on. Oh, let's have that audio off there. Right, that should be better. One of the things you mentioned, Colin, the mast on your vehicle is what I'm using here for my VHF beams, and mine is off one of the BBC outside broadcast, local radio broadcast bands, and it's the same. Depending what the wind direction is, it'll stay up a long time or require the pump to be running quite often, which is quite interesting. But I'm very pleased with it. But I had no guarantee when it came, and it is really useful and very tidy. But I took off the spiral cable. That just seemed to be a lot of loss. And to you, Martin, you were saying about using an FM, or was it DAB? I think an FM to AM transmitter, so you could run your old radios, which is quite an interesting thing. I'm just going to see if I'm coming up. Oh, I am. Oh, except I've frozen on there. That's not very good. Why's that? Anyway, I'll show you something that's relevant to your transmitter, Martin. It's getting quite dark in here, so you may not see that, but I think that's from about the 1920s. Unfortunately, there's not much wiring inside, so it wants a lot of work doing to it. Just put that down, but yeah, so that's rather nice. I also have one of the low multivalves that was made in Germany in about the same period, that was used for dodging some of the radio attacks that they had over there at the time, and that's 3 triodes. But the confusing bit for me initially was that there were components inside as well, all mounted in their own little what are they called, ampules, I suppose, and but I had it confirmed that that's what that was, so that was quite interesting. I could put one of those on, I suppose. Anyway, I'm not coming through the streamer very well at all. I don't know why that is. I don't have a lot tonight. I really just wanted to come on and say hello, which I've now done. So I'll not come, Dave. I'll not come back for the second over, and I will put it back to. Although I'll probably be watching from inside.
G4HJW, G8GKQ and the BATC Net. Okay, that goes off. Yeah, Bernie, you were overflowing. I think you had too many bits in your video transport stream, I think. We got all the sound, or nearly all the sound, but not all of the pictures. But quite an impressive old radio, that's for sure. Okay, going back through the comments in sort of reverse order. Yeah, Michelle, we had a few problems with Longmind as well on the Portsdown. There were a couple of times when I thought that Minitune might have done better. So that is on my list of things to investigate, to try and sort out why Minitune is occasionally better than the Longmind in Portsdown. But good, very impressive station. I'll show you mine in a minute. And 600 kilometres, yes, you beat me. I managed to receive pictures from Rob at 420 kilometres. Band viewer proved to be very useful. And there are no plans to put it on the RTL SDR. And may try and make it work with Pluto, but not the RTL SDR at the moment. Nick, you seem to be running a bit too much power to be social. You're 2.4 dB over the beacon, whereas the guidance, of course, is same level or 1 dB lower. Nice problem to have, but just a bit loud. And Mauser, I think, is UPS. Not quite as fast as DigiKey, but only a day or two later. And certainly faster than Radio Spares, who let me down last week. Those were isolators, Gareth, the first two, certainly with inbuilt 50 ohm loads. Without measuring the 10 gig was one that is difficult to know what they are. And I think we need a bit more information about your splitter combiner question. The G4JNT website that somebody posted on the chat is the reference for latching relays, but I would have, if they're not drawing current, I would have no qualms in leaving the power on, especially if it's a portable bit of kit which isn't going to be powered all the time, as long as they're not drawing current. Sorry to hear that your work schedule's changing, John. You won't be with us for a while, but hopefully you'll be able to see the recordings. IARU contests. There were 2 meters and 4 meters aren't IARU TV bands, although 50 megs now is, and that's why you don't see reference to 2 and 4 meters for IARU TV contests. Somebody asked that question. Okay, what's Vi been up to? Well, apart from sorting things out for the contest, today I've built a distribution amp for my QO100 receiver, so I can now easily drive 5 receivers from my QO100 receive feed, which is essential for testing stuff like Winter Hill and other bits, and doing the streaming for tonight, for example. Lots of fault finding after the contest. One of the problems I had before the contest was power supply noise, which I actually found by using BandViewer. Let's just show you my contest site while I move the camera. So that's me up at Lulworth, same site as we saw one of Colin's views from. And there's the 23 SEMs, 70 SEMs and 2 meter beams on the Maplin speaker tripod there. And there's a dish which gets used for 2.3, 3.4, 5.6 and 10 gigs, and the smaller dish is for 24 gigs. All my transmitting was done from this fella here. Having moved the camera, I can show you. That's the back view of a LimeNet Micro, so it's a Lime SDR Mini with a Raspberry Pi compute module, effectively. And this is the bit I put in recently, which is the big linear regulator. So that gives me 2.5 amps linear regulated with no noise. And this unit down here that used to be the switching regulator is no longer used. That's the back of the unit. So if I turn it up, you can see that the screen's on the front there. And there's a couple of BNCs, one to receive, one to transmit. So it supports down 2020, which I did used for all my contacts. All the transmit and all the band viewer, all the receive came from a ports down 4 running Longmind. Did I need special access for that site? No, it's general access, but you have to make sure that the Army range isn't open because they do close off the site sometimes. The other problem I had was on 3.4 gig, I think I suffered from phase noise, so I did lose a couple of stations on 3.4 gig. But anyway, all worked well. Right, without further ado, I'll put that round for a quick second round to Rob, M0DTS and the group G8GKQ.
Right, there we go. Should be back, I hope. Yeah, it is a moving picture, isn't it? Oh, the audio's dropped back down again. What happened there? Hang on, 7 dB. There we go. Right, yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, that's the other whether it's older or newer, I'm not sure. But that's got an even taller and more fins on it on that 2 meter PA. So I'm not really sure what version that is, but it doesn't work either. It's got a faulty relay inside, and I couldn't really do much with it. Well, there we are. I've just been testing a few people. I've noticed a few people looking at these little amplifiers. Let's see, where's my... I'll try and do this quick and get through because I know it's... Right, where am I pointing? So these little things that you get off eBay for $5 was mentioned just earlier. They're actually very good. We give nearly 100 milliwatts out at... Oh, they're saturated about 100 milliwatts at 13 SEMs even. And give reasonable gain. And not too bad a noise figure really. That's the live reading on there. 1280 megs, about 20 dB a gain and 4 dB noise figure, so not too bad at all really. Right, quick couple of pictures from the weekend. Where are we at? Desktop. Right, I go to here and then I go to here. So yeah, here's a few pictures from the weekend. I'll try and scoot through fairly quick, just make sure that's actually coming through okay. Is it? Yeah, it is. So that was the setup on Saturday. I was not far away, not too far away from Ripon really, but just on the east side of the Pennines. And that's basically the same setup all the way through really. I've got the dish on the motorised mount on the top of the van, and then 23 70 SEMs and the two 2-meter antennas. The collinear for talkback was absolutely superb. Used to just use the 2-meter Yagi slanted between horizontal and vertical. That's just so much easier. So still got the 2-meter horizontal up, but worked okay. That's the closest shot of the antennas. So there's two 23cm loop Yagis at the bottom, 28 element ones, and mass mounted LNA and filter and everything inside the little box. There's 70 SEMs, however many element that is. I can't remember. That must be like 17, 18 element or something. It's 2/3 of a K1FO Yagi, which is about 5.5 meter boom. So it's most of one, and the 2-meter LFA homemade one, and the collinear on the top. That's just another shot there, and that's the same setup, just at the second day there. You can see how I've got there the mounting arrangement of the poles on the van. So I've got 2 roof bars near the back and then one up the front for putting antennas on. Short stub that sticks out the back that goes onto 2 roof bars, and then there's just a few wooden blocks on the bottom with a rotator mounted right at the bottom that pivots over, so you can kind of tilt the mast up, and then there's just scaffold clamp in the and a baked bean tin for a slip ring in the at the center point there. Yeah, that's the antennas laid over, so there's quite a length there really to lift up. The most muscly guy in the world, you know what I mean, but and it was quite thin. There's a closer shot of the bottom, just a few bits of wood bolted together. I did that 11 years ago, put it together with that rotator converted to 12 volt, and yeah, now it works a treat that. And there's a shot on the second day on site, and you can see the vertical antenna on the top bending in the wind from it was pretty blowy. Tony, there's a picture of Tony's signal just down the road really. He dropped in for a chat in the afternoon, so that was good to catch up. We had a few chats about Winter Hill and various other Portsdown things and what have you, and a bit of a catch up. There's Clive on 70 SEMs, very marginal signal. That was over the top of the moors, that. So lots of multipath and various things. That one there was Clive's 24 gig signal, and that's what, 50 dB over the noise. So there was a lot of headroom there, and that was 40 kilometers I think. So pretty good signal. There's Bob, AVU on 23 SEMs, and that was a 1 mega symbol, 9/10 on 24 gigs off Clive G4 FVP at 40 kilometers, and the MER seems to top out at 24. I don't know whether anyone else notices that, but there we go. So rattle to that quick. I'll go back to, where's the other camera? There we go. So yeah, I think I've covered everything now. I'll get my log sent in today. I've got the laptop here, I just need to tidy up all the front page and what have you. But there we are. But yeah, nice to see everyone else's setups and things. It's been interesting, and yeah, we'll hopefully look for you next week. I'm working next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so if I get back in time I'll be on. If not, I won't be on for another 3 or 4 weeks, because it just collides with travelling back from work and things. So there we go. And yeah, there's quite a few people with the 9/11 birthday, John. I've got another 2 people at my workplace as well with the same birthday, so it seems quite common. There we go. Right, 73 all, and we'll maybe see you next week. And 0 DTS. So back around the mic again. Hopefully that wasn't too long, but it looks like it was.
Right, thank you, Rob. Let's check I've got a signal. Yeah, and it's even working. It does tend to freeze sometimes, and I don't know why. But all very interesting. It's a great setup you've got there. I'm just amazed I didn't hear you on 2 meters. In fact, I didn't hear anybody hardly. So maybe it's my antenna here, but I think it's just that I'm in the wrong place to hear many people. I was listening on 750 most of the contest, but I heard a few people. But when I called, I didn't get any responses. So. Anyway, the reason I'm showing this picture, by the way, Martin, is tell me which bits you need from that potty stroke bullseye stroke mount thing. Your next, so you can tell me on the next over. Richard, I think you was it you or was it somebody else? I don't know, but someone had a Winter Hill last week, which they printed a very nice back panel for, but it didn't have any holes next to the LNBs, which are necessary for the cooling. So that was something to note. And Michael, really nice setup there that you had. I assume you were on the Swiss side of the hills. When I go to Geneva, or used to go to Geneva, there's a Téléphérique which is in France, actually, just outside Geneva. And you can go up onto the local hill there. And if you walk along that road a fair distance, past the big telecoms tower, you end up at a ham shack that a French club have built up on top of the hill. And it's a really nice place for a location, but of course it doesn't have the gain of the HP9 call sign, so it would just be an F call sign, but very good place to get out from. Central Geneva, not so good. It's okay on HF, but operating on VHF there, you're sort of surrounded by hills, using the club station, which I've done a few times, the ITU club station, which I guess isn't there anymore. But okay, and Bernie, the image was good, actually, much better than your previous image, but I think you had just too high a bit rate or something. And I'm not sure it's anything to do with the package you're using. I suspect it's just that you've got a much better quality picture, so it needs more pixels to encode, and therefore it was taking more bandwidth. So I think you need to adjust the settings. I'm not sure exactly how you're generating it, but it wasn't quite right. Yeah, Dave, that's a nice setup that you've got for portable use. Regulator looked a bit big and heavy. I'm sure there's a better way to do 5 volts. But I wish I had a LimeNet micro that I could use for these sort of things. And then I thought, hang on a minute. So yeah, maybe I should try that. The square box thing that looks like an old television I've got has got a LimeNet micro in it and a mini tuner, and it runs ports down, whatever it is, 2020 is it? So that makes quite a nice portable station, but I've never really had a PTT solution for it. But I suppose using a switch might be the way to go, actually. Okay, right, that's probably too long from me. So round to Martin. Let's just put up the test card. And G4FKK G0MJW.
Okay, so I was in my mad scramble for microphones and things. There we go. Yeah, very good. All interesting from everybody, and I'm struggling a bit tonight because of the huge cloud that's hovering over me. It's not just me being depressed. It's the weather. But I copied everyone except John. I had to watch John on the streamer, but I do often have to do that because of my pathetically deaf system here. And Michelle, I couldn't understand why I wasn't copying you very well, but then I realised you were running 5/6 FE Well, the music sounded very nice, but I wish it hadn't been when I was on. Set me off. Richard, the that little amplifier. This one is much bigger than I think I gave it credit for with the other camera, but this is absolutely enormous. It probably is smaller than the one that you've got there, Rob. Your one is a very old one because it's got the old microwave modules logo on it, but this one is quite a beast. And it's got a nice coaxial relay in it, which is luckily still working. By Andy J&T, as Dave said, is definitely worth reading. There's loads of different sorts, and I always take the volts off just in case. Then it's universal. We talked about Mauser. Colin. When I was at BBC Research Department, we had 10-metre pump-up masts on our vans measuring vehicles, but you could clamp each section up if you wanted to. And it was the job of the youngest engineer in the vehicle, and of course in those far off days that was me, so the senior engineer would start pumping the mast up. It was your job to get the clamps up as it went up, and very often you'd have to hold it down, and I think it was some sort of bizarre induction course that the senior engineers like to do. The FM to AM, Bernie, I'll show it to you perhaps next week. I've made it out of valves. And I'm very pleased because it's got a magic eye indicator on the front to show you the modulation. It's no use at all, but it looks pretty. And Dave, GKQ, I wonder what you used in your distribution amplifier in terms of active devices, because I really need to do something similar. I've got so many things plugged in. That's probably another loss of a dB or two on my DEF system. Oh, and yeah, Mike, it's the offset clamp that I really need, but it did look as though you were offering anything on that picture, so I'll have the bullseye as well if you don't want that. No, joking. I'll send you my snail mail address after this. And I just want to say all the portable systems I've seen today have been absolutely marvellous. So let's have a quick look. Any notes? Oh, look at that. Jim's talking Greek again. Right, okay, well with that, according to the list, it's round to you now, Richard. So take it away. GI4, DOH, G4 Foxtrot, Kilo standing by, and good night to everyone. Cheerio.
G4 FKK with the group, GI4DOH, and just starting off there, Mike, that was me last week with the Winterhill, and there it is, live doing its job with very good ventilation, basically because I'm still waiting for the LDO at the front end. I am feeding it with exactly 12 volts in the meantime, and if I can get back to all this technology with changing things back to the other camera, when the lid goes on, it does have a hole for air to get out. So I did actually read what it said on the BATC wiki. Thank you for pointing that out. Certainly with the knocker and wherever the mini tuner has gone, and the mini tuner is underneath the camera, looking at the Winterhill. So I don't have ventilation on those boxes. Get a little bit warm, but I don't think there's any real cause for concern there. So yes, Martin, that was a much bigger microwave modules heatsink that you've got there. I do have this 3-meter linear, supposedly, Daiwa, which I bought in an unknown condition for the sort of price that you would pay for something in an unknown condition. The issue with it is that it's somewhat prone to oscillation if you switch it on. It's probably a decoupling capacitor gone somewhere, or aging decoupling capacitors all over the place. Someday I might do something about it, someday I might not, as I do have another little 2-meter linear. And Rob, Michelle, Colin and Dave, what can I say? I got a little mag mount whip for 2 meters and 70 centimeters on the car. I'm really going to have to do something about this. I am starting from scratch, which is maybe a good thing. David did note what you were saying about Maplin's speaker stands. I know there are other sources of those. We're getting a tripod with a good spread on the legs might be useful for a starter type thing. I could buy a van or something like that. I'm afraid I've got nobody to stop me doing that anymore. So it is an option. I don't know that really that much into it that I would have put all my resources into that. But who knows? We need a good rally. That'd be good to go and see what's going and buying a few things in that direction. Certainly getting portable is the main aim now. I think I've built all the things I want to build for the immediate future. So I wish you all 7.3s a good night, and hopefully I'll be around next week. It's good to talk, as I say. I do enjoy the net when I can get here, and hope to do that next week. So I think it's Gareth. Now I'll pass it around to you. G4XAT with the group GI4DOH.
Right, I have audio and I have picture. Good. Right, transition, that would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Right. Okay, loads of lovely looking work. Here's my little 23 SEMS amplifier, which I tested during contest time. It's got a manual bias switch or a PTT input on the back. Runs quite hot. I mean, you get 5 minutes before it gets too hot. There's 4 little fans. Probably needed a bigger heatsink, but it doesn't help that it's biased up to the eyeballs. Okay, so that's that. Since you're all being very good at answering things, I'd love to know what this is. It's a homemade bit of kit that came out of a rummage box, and that's a DC path in and out. So I guess it's some sort of coupler possibly, but who knows. Right, okay. 10 gigahertz. I happened across, hang on, before we go to 10, let's have a look at me portable. There we go. And it was my birthday yesterday, by the way, so I won't be being troubled by birthdays in September. 70 SEMS on the top, 2 meters underneath, and then round the back of the car were the various microwave bands on various dishes and bits and pieces. And I think I previously had the 13 SEMS and 23 SEMS beams up on a post, and I've since devised a double pole system so I can put the whole lot up on one side of the car. Okay, thanks for that, Jim. That does make sense. I suspect that's probably what it is. That's good. Okay. Now 10 gigahertz bench cam and transition. Okay, it's a Cambridge Broadband Networks surplus board from our friend in Poland. It's only about 35 quid plus delivery. The devices in the chain of TX end up with a 1 watt device, but the little leads, they have the small thing on both ends. So rather than change the sockets on the as built piece of kit, which I'll show you in a minute, I cut them off and fitted those instead. So let's have a look at the actual board, which is this beauty. There we are. Now, the nice thing about it is it has a local oscillator on there which gets tripled and then fed into the RX side and the TX side, where you can put your TX IF and pick out your RX IF. So my thinking is it's going to go straight into a Pluto or straight into my mini tuner by virtue of fiddling with the IF frequency, or the LO frequency rather. I think I know what I'm doing. Anyway, that's 1 watt, which is a bit more than 10 milliwatts, and it runs off 7 volts at about 2 amps apparently, or 48 volts up the mast to the onboard converter, which I might think about. I've got 2 and I've also asked him if he gets any more to let me know directly. They're absolutely beautifully built, and I just thought that's going to work, and it turns out it probably will. Anyway, I think that's it from me. Sorry Richard, I didn't acknowledge you passing it to me. One day I won't be quite so addled, but I think I've covered everything on my list. We'll just have a quick eye on the fisheye. There we are, that works. Transition. The bookcase behind me, by the way, has gone, and that is a strange chest of drawers that was offered free up my road. It's actually a draper's shop, probably 80 plus years ago, and it's gone through various people's garages and sheds and so on, and now I've got loads more storage, which, trust me, I need. Okay, that's it then. I will find my test card and transition to that, and wish you all well, and see you next Thursday, I hope, if not before, from G4XAT round 2 G4NKV. Over.
Okay, should be on now, and hopefully got audio again. Talking about relays, this is one of those latch relays, I do believe, if we can get it on the camera. I've got one or two of those. Chose not to use those. I use these little French ones. I've got a number of these in the amplifier outside at the moment. Didn't use this one because this particular one is rated at 18 gigahertz, and it seemed a a bit of a waste to use one such as that for 2.3 gigahertz. Many years ago I used to use these relays. I don't know if anyone can ever remember them. They were obtained from radio spares. I think they were made by a firm called Magnetic Devices. I can't remember the particular rating of them, what frequency, but I did use them successfully up to 70 sems in a 70 sems 40x2 50V linear. I think I was getting away with it quite luckily there. I think they weren't rated at that sort of power I was running then. But I did have a few of them left, and I've got this little 70 sems preamp that I haven't fitted yet up on the mast, and when you look inside it you'll see it's got quite a number of those relays. There's obviously two for the bypass from the preamp to straight through for transmit, and there's a couple others which are useful there for switching between the omni aerial and the horizontal or the vertical sections. It's an old 50-year plus old 8-element J-beam crossed Yagi. The 2-meter Yagi I've got is also a J-beam of similar vintage, 50 years plus 5-element. And right at the very bottom of there, just in case my push to torque fails, it's got an RF sniffer which will do the switching should I fail with the normal push to torque. I've forgotten before on occasions to plug it in, and I've got a 2-meter amplifier up there, preamp, and I've built a better bandpass filter which I must get fitted because it really is superior to the one that's up there at the moment. So various things to do there. Anyway, I think that's all from me for this week. Oh, Dave, yeah, I've turned the gain down. What I've done on the on the ports down, I've set a 2.5 dB attenuation on the inbuilt attenuator. So yeah, I think that has brought my signal down somewhat, hasn't it? I noticed when I tried to alter the line gain to the next section down, it was on 88 and went to 87. The power reduced just too much and I couldn't get in at all. I should have noticed that and just altered it with the inbuilt attenuator, which I've now done. So hopefully the signals are a lot better now. I think it's over to Colin next, isn't it? G4KL.
Right, thanks a lot. That was a quick one. Thank you very much. Right, thanks a lot. That was a quick one. Thank you very much. There we go. Excellent. Very good. Right. There we are. That's it. Slightly different view of the shack. A little messier. Makes me feel more at home. So this is the main operating area over here, and the rest is just things that I'm not actually 3D printing a fluke multimeter. I've just laid it there as I've been doing some tests. But yeah, interestingly, relays on the bench here, without actually going anywhere, but just on the bench, I've got all manner of different relays and things here. These ones I think are actually more suited to HF than anything else, but these ones are pretty good. But I'm looking for I say part of our sequencer project for the ports down, but we need 8 bands and not 4, so that will save me a lot of swapping. I'm trying to obtain, I've identified the appropriate relay. I'm not going to tell anyone because I haven't managed to secure one yet. I did order one from America, but they just emailed me and said that half of it's missing. Do I still want it? I said for that price, no, I don't. So anyway, we're trying to work out a different way of obtaining one from somewhere else. It's a little bit of an expensive relay actually for what I'm using it for, but nonetheless, the specifications are so good it has to be done. I know some people use the 8-band RF switch. I think Dave and Noel do. I think for receive side, but yeah, but that is another option. And this little mod would probably accommodate that. But I'm going for more conventional type of relay. Because I'd like to pass the DC through it, so it's just more convenient. Just power up the preamps up the line. It just suits the way I do things. I thought at one point I was going to have to change because I've moved it now, haven't I? I did buy another little device which has moved. No, that's something else. No, it doesn't matter at the minute. But that was DC isolated. Let's just turn that off a minute. Here we are. And that didn't really suit the purpose. I could have modified all the preamps to have external power, but that's a whole load of extra work. But still. Anyway, that's oh, there we are. Dunstable Downs. Yeah, that's a place, isn't it? But I have been off of coaxial relays for some time, but probably because I've used not such good quality ones. I have paid a lot of money for them, and they've still not really performed, particularly with their isolation figures and such like. I'm sure I've lost a few preamps because of that. And also, I had a number that would at times go open circuit on me. I'd have to actually strip them down and polish all the at least you could do it. You could take the bits off and actually polish them up and put them back in again. But I've got an old Solent transmitter, an AM thing, and the relay on that is forever going wrong. So I decided a long time ago that I wouldn't do that. I actually put up 2 aerials rather than use a relay, and worried about the losses and things. But that's not really practical for portable use. so I've ended up plug swapping, which has become too cumbersome by far. And so I'm going to take the losses that relays might incur. The ones I've selected are not too bad, so in reality it probably won't make that much difference. It obviously makes some, but still. The plug swapping has just got ridiculous now, and I make too many errors. What I'll do is I'll work somebody on 70 sems, and then they'll say, have you got 2 meters or 23 sems? I'll say, yeah. I'll swap all that over, and then the next station wants to do it the other way round. So I have to swap it all again, transmit and receive. And in my haste, I have made a number of errors, some of which have been catastrophic. put you off air for the rest of the day, particularly with the power side of things, but that's not so difficult to resolve. Anyway, that's the current sort of project in amongst other projects. So we'll be going. Incidentally, I've been watching on Winter Hill. I've only got one Winter Hill. Well, I've got 2 on, but I'm only actually looking at one. At the moment, I don't want to be distracted by too many other stations. I did see JTT pop up briefly. Okay, that'll do for me because it's getting on now. And next week, what am I doing next week? Be night, so I will be here, but it'll be I'll have to make a quick getaway next week. Probably only have time for one over next week. 7-3s then, and it'll be. Michael or Michelle, I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation. Probably neither, I should imagine. Anyway, let's hop over to there. 7-3's G4KLB.
Mettre un petit peu plus là. Okay. Well, when I was talking about this microwave relay, this is one which is from one of my 10 gig station, and this one you need a pulse about 28 volts, and then about half of it to maintain the relay in this position. And then when you switch over, you have to send the pulse in the opposite direction and to maintain after. Yeah. And that is something absolutely lovely, which is a quick connector, yeah, which is really nice and to lock. No needs of screw and things like this. Quite nice. And then just for mic, let's see if it works. Bingo. We'll see if the pictures is coming. Yep, it looks like. So you were talking somewhere here in the mountain. Need to click so we see the cursor. So you were talking of a place. Yeah, it's really difficult with the delay to show you. So, but you were talking a place which is somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. And Chasseron is the mountains with the green spot on top of the cart, is near the lake of Neuchâtel. And in French, my name is Michel. So I wish you all a very nice evening, and looking forward to seeing you next week with some new adventures and things to show. So back to you, the mic, Dave, and thanks for piloting the net.
Okay, Michel, thank you very much. From GHGKQ. Right, I'll just quickly answer a couple of questions. The distribution amp, Martin, I used an MAR1, a MAR1. I had some from about 15 years ago. And one of those gave about 17 dB of gain, and then it went into a commercial 4-way satellite splitter. Simple as that. Takes about 16 milliamps at 12 volts. The MER out of a Lime SDR, if you're using the normal software, is about 30-35. If you're using the DVB software, is up at 50, as is the Pluto. But the bandwidth isn't there to produce a better waveform than about 30 or 35 dB MER. And thanks for turning the power down, Nick. Mike, I'm looking at trying to break out the PTT from a LimeNet Micro. I have managed to break out the noise figure switch signal, but it needs soldering onto a terminal on the connector, which is I don't know 0.05 spacing or something ridiculous. But I succeeded in that one, so I'll try and find the PTT and let you know. Okay, well, really interesting net. Good to see all the contest stuff, and look forward to seeing you all next week. But don't forget to get those logs in, please, even if you've only had 1 or 2 contacts. So, GHGKQ closing the BATC net and leaving the frequency open. Good night all, and thanks for the apology, Tony. Bye-bye.